So today is Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. Who we speaking with?
I'm Veronica, formerly known as Al's daughter.
Um, what did Albert mean to the New York City dance music community?
I've heard him be mentioned as a professor of music. Um, for me personally, it meant that everywhere we went, somebody was going to run into him and thank them for a record that was purchased 20 years prior, 30 years prior, 40 years prior that he recommended. So, as his daughter, a little embarrassing when we're in Disney World in Florida and we think that we're good. And in actuality, he's got random acquaintances or friends, loved ones that he's met over the years. But I definitely didn't fully comprehend how many people he had connected with through music over the decades until, of course, him passing on.
What was it like sharing your dad with the dance music community? Because he wasn't just yours, he was everybody's.
um that's a great question. um it was it was growing up, it was a little peculiar because people always knew me, and like still as an adult, my face hasn't changed much. So they always knew me. And like I said, I'm Al's daughter. I had never existed as Veronica within so many different realms. I was Al's daughter. But it was always like in a very sweet way because since music is such a force, and I always say music is a love language because that's how I grew up. But since music is a love language, people had love for me because of who my dad was and because of the goodness that he spread through music. So it was very surreal when people had seen me maybe as a little one in Downtown Records, a toddler, and then hadn't seen me for 15 years. And they're like, oh my goodness, and I know you, and I know you were this big, and I know you when you were this big. And they literally can recall memories that I was too young to know of and reference things. And even if my dad wasn't present, people had come up to me and be like, oh my goodness, I remember you from when you were in the hut, when your dad worked here, when your dad worked all these different locations. It was like almost very surreal because in New York City, being born and raised in New York City, you don't always want people to come up to you randomly. You don't know what they're coming up to you for. But
Exactly,
as I
exactly.
got older, I learned to appreciate it because again, it was always really well intentioned. It was so many good memories. And even now to this day, he's it's been over a year, unfortunately, but people still will be like stories that my dad had helped them be moved to quit smoking. My dad had influenced them to do certain things that they were not doing and things outside of the music, but because music was that opening way to conversation for him, he could connect with anyone. So it's definitely been a blessing. And it's also now that I'm my own person, it's allowed me to connect with so many different people, not just of my generation, because I have references from the 60s, 50s, of different music that maybe somebody of my age might not. It's definitely a blessing.
Two-part question. What's your relationship with music? And what was Al's relationship with music?
So I'm going to start it with him because it's a chronological love. His relationship with music, as he always told it to me, was that when he would first go to the Woolworths and the department stores with my grandma as a kid, he would start off looking in the music section, looking through all the vinyl and the 45s, and he would be enthralled in it. And at first, have a few moments while she was shopping, but it got to the point where he took longer than her and she had to pull him away from it. So he got deeper into it and would spend more and more time. And then his first job, I think he did work as like a bagger in a supermarket as a kid, but every other job from like 13 years old, he worked in music. He literally always worked in music. So there was always those ties to music. And it was a love, it was a passion. The quote that comes to mind is love is the message. Because everything my dad taught me diversity through music. My dad taught me compassion towards other people through music. And I'm fortunate enough that we're in a transition in society where we well, not recently, but overall, we accept diversity more than my dad's generation did. And my dad accepted diversity in every way, in the queer community, in different ethnicities. I met people from all over the world. My dad did business with people from Europe and Africa and exposed me to African music before it was Afro beats. So I was taught to love our brothers and sisters because we all share a culture of music. And that also allowed me to connect with different food and explore different parts of culture. So for my own relationship with music, I didn't realize how indoctrinated it was into my mindset because like growing up, Papi had, I'd say like 25,000 pieces of vinyl in a one bedroom apartment. And then when it transitioned from vinyl, I'd say it was about like maybe 20,000 CDs in a two bedroom. So I grew up with music being decor. I grew up with music just being common. I remember there's certain albums like when I first started to explore my own, because it was always there. So when it's always there, you take it for granted. So when I started to look at certain things on his shelves, and he had it organized like a shop by genre and alphabetical order. So Stevie Wonder was one of the first ones that I really got into for my own. And I grew up listening to CBS FM back when it was still Motown and everything playing on the radio. So I remember grabbing the Stevie Wonder greatest hits, the double CD one. And he's like, take it, take it, take it. And he just encouraged it. And there was every genre, even genres that he didn't like personally, he had a little bit of it. So for that one, that sticks out for me. And then also completely opposite of my dad's music taste is a Notorious B.I.G. Mo Money, Mo Problems. It was the single and it was the album art of having dollar signs on it that I remember as a kid seeing those. And I was like, what is this? I want to listen to this. I shouldn't have been listening to that. But my dad being in this community that was so accepting, he allowed me to explore things that other parents of children my same age wouldn't have explored because music creates a safe space for us to explore that. So, and like I said, to this day, I still connect with all different. I have a very close friend who's a violinist out of Louisiana. I connect with so many different people all over the world. I have a rapper friend who's out of Nigeria. I've connected with people, and thank God for the internet, all over the world because we have that deep rooted love of music.
Did he speak of any influences or mentors that shaped his passion for music and business?
Oh, yes. Oh, man. I wish I could recall names off the top of my head, but I know definitely in general Downtown Records was a safe haven for the vinyl junkies. I know it was I believe Frankie and Cisco there. There was so many, oh man. And that's the thing, you know, I wish some of this stuff I wrote down because you take it for granted that your parents are going to live forever, especially the dad to a daughter and a great dad that he is. Like there was so many stories that it just becomes the Charlie Brown wah, 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 in the background because he spoke of so many. This is the number one thing. Like if there's we talked about music and the Yankees. So but there was so many. And what I would also say, because I know I'm forgetting any names that would do justice, but it wasn't just precursors to him. It wasn't just his elders who influenced him in music. I know that there was a lot of people that were of his same age because he would always say that his Spanish music, like what's the word? His knowledge of Spanish music in general wasn't as advanced as others. So he would readily credit other people like this is the guy to go to for this genre, and this is the person to go to for this genre. But I'm not doing him justice with the names. I gotta admit that.
It's all good. So you talked about people who might have mentored him. Were you aware of any people that he mentored himself?
Yes, and I'm also not gonna give the proper credit to names.
It's all good. It's all good.
Um,
It's all good.
but there's
Um,
been quite a few. There was one even recently. I might message you afterwards because I have text messages with him that he's about my same age, and he both, my dad considered him like a son in music. So, and it was a two-way street. They definitely loved each other. And then I don't know their dad's name, but the Martinez brothers are also about my same age. And they both DJ. I believe they're twins and they both DJ. And
Mhm.
he was very close with their dad as well. So I know that that was kind of that same dynamic.
Being that he was so passionate about music and record retailing, how did that affect family life? And what values did he share with you based upon his involvement in music business?
So as an adult, I see it as a huge blessing because my mom worked a conventional 9 to 5 and they had separated when I was quite young. But seeing how my mom couldn't get around certain things with work no matter what because she worked a 9 to 5 and in a hospital nonetheless. So there's very little flexibility there. Um, it was quite different with my dad. My dad had the big green army book bag and filled it up with vinyl or CDs, depending on the time or the decade, I should say. And I went everywhere with him. I literally went everywhere. And that was normal. It was very normalized to me. And I'd say until I began dating, I didn't realize what an incredible work ethic my dad had. Because when you grow up with this, and especially my mom has a great work ethic too. So when you grow up with this, you take it for granted. And then when you start to hear not just, my own personal experiences, but experiences of friends and stuff like that, and people who will not keep a job consistently, and I see my dad literally lugging 200 pounds of records on his back, but he loves it. It definitely gave me a different perception. I thought whatever you grow up in your childhood is normalized to you. So I thought that was normal. But what my dad used to do, and I'm dating myself, is if we worked together, if I went and we picked up from here and then we took it there, whatever, and we went back and forth all throughout the city, and I was a good girl the whole day, I would earn a Beanie Baby. So, yeah, okay. So, I was excited because he taught me that initiative, and now as an adult, I understand that's the reality. You don't work, unless you're blessed enough to be in your passion, but the majority of people work for a paycheck so they can have the luxuries in life that they want to have. So, I was taught, we go, we work, and you get a Beanie Baby because that's what you want right now. And he always taught me the difference between wants and needs, and that was huge because even though my needs were fulfilled, he still made sure that a want of a Beanie Baby for me working with him all day was there. I have like over 200 Beanie Babies, and I have a weird emotional attachment to them because it was how I was taught to earn, how do you earn things? You don't just, things are not entitled to you, you go out and earn them. And what I will say was that my dad, even to his final breath, he was determined not to owe anyone money. There's someone, I don't know, it's a woman that he's got $40 for put on the side. And again, not heeding your parents because you think they're going to last forever. I have $40 somewhere put on the side because he had flipped some records for her, and that was the last person that he owed money to, and I'm just waiting for her to come forth because my dad did not owe anyone money. So I've got these two $20 bills waiting for her. But knowing, again, this is how I was raised. This is not everybody. People will get over and step on each other just to make a penny over the next person. So I feel like because it was all done as a labor of love, because he loved the music, it was done with such good integrity, and I'm so grateful to, especially now as a business owner, to have that, because it's not always about that instantaneous profit, but it's how you treat people, how you make people feel, and they will connect you and they will bring you so much more than just that monetary value. So I think that it was great from my perspective. It was really great, and I'm happy I got to spend so much time with my dad growing up.
Who was your dad beyond the music?
My dad, he is a pillar, even now that he's not with us. He is a pillar in our community. We live in Morningside Heights and born and raised. prided himself that he was always within a 10-block radius. He was born in that hospital and he lived his entire life in that one place. And there is, like I said, so many people, especially now that he's passed, that have come to me. Your dad helped me with this. Your dad helped me with that. My dad, he was, I would say, just a force of love. Really, he truly was people's safe space. And he always wanted to be the person to put a smile on your face and make a joke, whether it be corny or not. Okay. He was going to make the joke. He wanted everyone to get along. He was very much a people's person and very charismatic. What I didn't know, unfortunately, till after he passed away was that he was very handsome because he's my dad. I'm not, that's my dad. Ew, gross. But random women in the neighborhood apparently had crushes on him growing up. So apparently, because he was tall and had long hair, he was someone to be desired. Again, just his daughter. So you don't know these things until you know. But he was a very honest person and again, just a people pleaser and somebody that wanted everybody to connect. He was not bougie at all. He was definitely the person to try to bring people together. What he faulted in, I would say, is that he wanted everyone to be happy to a sense that it would fault him. He was willing, many people owed him money. He was willing to take losses just for the greater good, and not just financial, but he would extend himself in a way just because he saw the greater purpose of it. And that even unfortunately I feel like applied to his health. So the one thing that I will say to anyone watching this is please, health is wealth. Make your health a priority because you deserve it. And my dad would want it for you. If you're watching this, you had some relationship with him. So my dad would definitely want that for you. And you deserve whoever is watching this to be a priority. You don't always have to prioritize everyone else in the way that he did. And finding that balance is not easy, but that's definitely his fault was that he he loved love. He loved love. He loved music. He loved good food. He loved beautiful women. He loved love.
When you think of your father, what's the first image or memory that comes to mind?
There's so many. Oh my goodness. I see his smile. That's the first thing. If I think about him, I see his smile in our apartment next to the CDs. I see him randomly shuffling through CDs trying to find a specific song or something in mind. Um it depends literally where I'm at in that moment. When I look out the window and I see the parking lot, I think about him teaching me to ride a bike in that parking lot. When I have a very deep relationship with libraries and I love going to the library, and he wasn't much of a reader per se, but we had a lot of routines and he would always take me to the library right after school. Homework gets done right after school and then there's time for play. And I love reading because of that. I thrive. Sometimes I'll go to a library randomly just to find peace. So I have a lot of memories of that. I have memories of being on his shoulders in street festivals. That's like one of my favorite. I hated the day I was too big for him to carry me around because my dad was about 6'2". So I got a good view for a long time. But there's so many memories, endless jokes, him never saying yes to a plate of my food, but always saying, I could eat. So many. I got the Yankees playing right now. I'm going crazy. Because we actually worked in Yankee Stadium together for a while. So I'm very blessed. I have endless great memories with my dad.
The record store was a place to buy records, but it was also a major social hub for like-minded individuals. Did your home also become a social hub for Albert's friends from the record store as well? Or was there separation?
Yes, there was, but it was a good balance that he did. So in the in growing up, he always had, like I said, either the big green army book bag, or if we were in the neighborhood, he would have a duffel bag with him of whatever mix of things. If he knew, like, even when he would take me to the playground, he knew all the moms because he was the one, the actively involved dad. So his office was mobile. It was with him. So that was always a part of, there was always in every image that I have, like literally outside of Yankee Stadium, even going to the playground, I'd be playing on the gymnasium and he'd be sitting with the moms talking music. So, and other things, but we'll say music. In the house, in the house, um, there were always, and like literally until his very end, Nelson, Paradise Roman, I believe, or as he would call him. He had come to the house in the last couple months before Bobby had passed, and he was picking out CDs with him and talking all that. But there was always certain people, not everyone. It wasn't like he had a separated office space for it. So not everyone was in the home because, like I said, I was always with him. So he did, I never felt like a stranger was going to be in the house. And again, they could have been strange. They might have been strange. They were my dad's friends, but it was all for the love of music. But what I came to find out as I got older is, since my bedroom was separated, when I would go to sleep, he would oftentimes have people come and pick out inventory from the living room. But I was literally asleep. And I would hear sometimes people's voices or anything, but it was going on my whole life at night. And I didn't realize until I got into my teenage years or whatever, starting to stay up a little bit later on my flip phone. And then I'm like, what's going on? And then you hear the conversation. Oh, yeah, they're just talking music over there. So it was actually always actively involved in my house, but he still kept that divide. I wouldn't say it's past tense because I am so precious to him. And he always made sure that I was safe first. And, the music was his first love, but I never felt like in competition with the music, or I had to get my dad's attention or anything like that. It was, it was me and the music, and that's it.
Which is my perfect leading to my next question. How did growing up around the record store shape your own relationship with music?
So the only frustrations I had were at times, especially if he would get a pre-release of something, or there'd be no walking space. We're in New York City. So as I got older, it didn't become a fun adventure having to step over records if he was getting 500 of something from one day to the next. But for the most part, it never felt, besides that, it never felt like a point of frustration, because the way that record stores are, and that's why I wish that there was more of them to this day, and I feel like they will come back around, but they are that safe space. They are that. So I was too young to remember anything specific about downtown, but daddy had also worked in the Hut. Daddy worked in HMV. HMV was integral for the time period for me because it was right on 125th Street. I went to school not too far, and it was like a midpoint between where I was at school and where we lived. So I could just walk into his job again, as opposed to my mom having worked in a hospital. Not that they didn't all know me there as well, but you can't just walk into a hospital and find your mom. It's very different. So if I was waiting for my dad, oh, and Record Mart, I didn't even, 42nd Street Record Mart, that I literally love them. And there's been so many people too in these respective places with the Hut and HMV. It was Bob with Bob Moss. It was at Record Mart, it was Lou and God rest his father, Jesse Moskowitz. But again, these places were open in ways that other places were not. So I could readily walk in, hang out. In HMV, they had the headphones listening stations because this is before YouTube. We used to have to try to have access to music. So it was a blessing to just be able to walk in at any moment, anytime. If daddy was working, it might take him, a couple minutes to get to me because he was dealing with a customer, but it's a very open space and it's a very welcoming community. So I always love that. And again, it's not the same freedom, even with, other careers. It's very hard to find that freedom and acceptance in a way that you might with music.
Looking back, what do you think your father's contribution was to the New York City music culture?
I feel like as the time goes on and more people come forward to me, because of course, we give people our roses once they're not here anymore, unfortunately. So I didn't realize what a force he was. I truly didn't, because again, you take it for granted. That's my dad. So he had, and it's so many things because he was like the original Shazam. So people would come to him having heard a song in the loft or Paradise Garage, whatever it was at that time, Palladium, whatever it was. And they would say, "Oh, ow, I da 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 da. I need this song. Do you know this song?" And my dad would go, "Oh, yeah, 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 I got you." And then find it. So he allowed, and again, you take it for granted because it's what you grow up with. He allowed so many people, especially I would say um, DJs or people just even fully engrossed in music and who spent all their extra income on music. He allowed music to expand. He allowed he behind the scenes he allowed it to peripherate because if you don't even now I have those moments sometimes where I remember a song and I miss him so much because I'm used to just calling puppy, what is this? And he would know it. He would always know it. Of course, I'm his child, so my music taste is directly impacted by him, but he would always know it. And it's painful to me not having that resource outside of just him being a loving dad, but having that resource anymore. It hurts me. But that's what he was. He was a resource for other creative individuals, and he allowed them to expand their musical repertoire and, their bag, their little vinyl bag. And now, being old enough that I've gone clubbing and I've had my days, it's such a great experience to be just dancing. It's not even about whether you're sober or not, but just to be fully enthralled on a dance floor because that song, for me personally, it's like the Calvin Harris type of time, Avicii, long live Avicii. But that music that just takes you and you get enthralled in it. And to think that before YouTube, before Shazam, before humming it into Google, some of those records might not have gotten the exposure because people couldn't put a place the name to them. So from what I've heard most commonly amongst anyone that's known him, he was a reference for them and he helped them make better sets because if they even had an idea of something or he exposed them to things that were even not out there in the clubs yet and he exposed them to certain records that would go good with their particular music taste, they would show up at downtown and he would already have put aside 5 records for them because he knew their sets and he knew what they like to play. So I do believe that a lot of people who might not even know it, a lot of artists have benefited from my dad. I think that that's the best thing, but he would never take the credit anyways. So I think that he just spread love through spreading music, and I'm very happy to continue that legacy.
How do you want people to remember him?
Um, love is the message. Love is the message. His big smile. I want them to know that for each individual, he has a song in mind. Every single person, there's a song for them. So whether they know which song it is or not, he's got a special song for them. Even my mom, after how many decades of being separated, she's got a special song for her. So I want them to know that whatever that song that they think it is, it likely is. And I've always told everyone since he passed not to grieve him because that wasn't who he was or what he would have wanted. But if you usually listen to your music on a level 10, bump it to 15. Play that music loud. Play it as you're cleaning. Enjoy it. Really like just fully, completely live in that moment. Have that moment. And whatever special song that connection is, celebrate it. So we've got a bunch because it's my dad, but it's as simple as My Girl Temptations, and he would be so upset because that's such a commercial song. Okay, and that's everybody's song. But it's also for him personally as Stevie Wonder makes my heart skip a beat because it's such a beautiful song and he exposed me to Stevie Wonder. Um Reasons, Earth, Wind and Fire. There's just so many. What's the Isn't She Lovely? I think if he was to say the song for me, it would be Isn't She Lovely by Stevie Wonder because him featuring his daughter crying in the very beginning and her little gurgles. And I know every time my dad would play that song for me, just the brightness in his eyes. So when you think about my dad, think about whatever that special song was for you and him because he's got one for everybody.